I remember the day my 6-year-old great-granddaughter visited me at my home office. She watched me checking my blood sugar, something I've done every morning for the past 30 years. With that innocent curiosity only children possess, she asked, "Grandpa, why do you poke your finger every day? Is it because you're old?" Then she added, "My teacher says sugar is bad. Did you eat too much candy?" Her words hit me harder than any medical diagnosis I'd ever received, out of the mouths of babes, as they say. I looked at her and wondered, how many of my patients, my friends, my peers are asking themselves that same question every morning? Is this happening because I'm old? Did I do this to myself? If you're watching this video today, you might be asking yourself similar questions. Maybe you've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, or you're pre-diabetic. Perhaps you're caring for someone who is, or maybe you're simply worried about what might be coming around the corner as you enter your golden years. I'm Dr. Harold Winters. I've been practicing medicine for over 65 years, and at 91 I still see patients 3 days a week. I specialize in geriatric metabolic disorders. In plain English, that means I help older folks manage conditions like diabetes. I've treated over 15,000 seniors with diabetes throughout my career, and I've lived with type 2 diabetes myself for 3 decades now. What makes me different from other doctors you might have seen? I'm living this journey alongside you. Every morning, I check my blood sugar too. Every holiday dinner, I face the same temptations you do. When my joints ache on cold mornings, making exercise feel impossible, I understand that challenge firsthand. Let me tell you about Margaret. She came to my office last year, 78 years old, her blood sugar numbers climbing despite taking her medication faithfully. "Dr. Winters," she told me with tears in her eyes, "my daughter says I'm not trying hard enough, that if I just had more willpower, I could control this. But I'm doing everything they told me to do." Or James, a 75-year-old retired engineer who kept a spreadsheet of everything he ate, exercised religiously, yet watched helplessly as his A1C levels rose and rose. "I feel like my body has betrayed me," he said during one visit. Then there's Ruth, 82, who confessed she'd stopped attending her weekly bridge club because she was embarrassed about having to inject insulin in front of her friends. "I don't want them to see me like this," she whispered, "like I've failed somehow." These stories break my heart because they're all based on profound misunderstandings about how diabetes works in older bodies. The shame, the isolation, the frustration my patients feel, it's all unnecessary suffering based on outdated ideas and, frankly, medical advice that doesn't account for the unique changes that happen after 70. Here's what nobody has told you. Your body at 70, 80, or 90 processes food completely differently than it did at 50 or 60. The dietary advice you received when you were first diagnosed might actually be making things worse now. It's not your fault. And no one ever told you the truth before. When we age, our insulin sensitivity changes dramatically. After 70, your pancreas produces about 40% less insulin than it did when you were 50. Your muscle cells, which normally use up glucose during activity, become less efficient, even if you're active. Additionally, the hormones that regulate hunger and fullness shift significantly, making it harder to know when you've had enough. But perhaps most importantly, and this is something I rarely hear discussed with patients, your digestive system slows down with age, changing how quickly certain foods convert to blood sugar. Foods that were safe for you in your 60s might send your glucose levels soaring in your 70s and 80s. This means that generic diabetes advice simply doesn't work for our age group. Following the standard recommendations might actually accelerate the progression of your diabetes, leading to more medications, more complications, and frankly, a diminished quality of life. But there is hope, real, practical hope. Over my decades of practice and through my own personal journey, I've developed a simple protocol specifically designed for seniors over 70. It doesn't require expensive equipment, specialized foods, or strenuous exercise that might be difficult for aging bodies. Most importantly, my patients typically see significant improvements in their blood sugar numbers in just 7 days. Before I share these specific steps with you, I want to warn you about the 5 worst dietary habits that are particularly dangerous for seniors with diabetes. These are common practices, that many well-meaning doctors and nutritionists still recommend, not understanding how they affect older bodies differently. Let me walk you through what I call the diabetic downfall diet, the 5 habits that will accelerate your diabetes faster than anything else after age 70. The first dangerous habit is starting your day with healthy fruit juice or smoothies. Many seniors believe drinking orange juice, apple juice, or fruit smoothies is a nutritious way to start the day. After all, fruit is healthy, right? But here's what happens in your 70-plus-year-old body. Without the fiber of whole fruit to slow absorption, the natural sugars hit your bloodstream all at once. With your already reduced insulin response, your blood sugar spikes dramatically. One 8-ounce glass of orange juice can raise your blood sugar higher than eating a chocolate cookie. And those healthy fruit smoothies from the store? They often contain more sugar than a can of soda. Instead, I recommend starting your day with a protein-rich breakfast and saving whole fruits, not juices, for later in the day, paired with healthy fats that slow absorption. The second dangerous habit is relying on diabetic-friendly packaged foods. Maria, an 83-year-old patient of mine, brought in a shopping bag full of sugar-free cookies, diabetic-friendly ice cream, and no sugar-added snacks. "I don't understand why my numbers are still high," she told me. When we examined the nutrition labels together, we discovered these products were loaded with refined carbohydrates, modified starches, and sugar alcohols, all of which convert to blood sugar rapidly in older digestive systems. The truth is, after 70, your body often processes these artificial sweeteners and modified food starches even worse than regular sugar. They can cause unpredictable blood sugar responses and often lead to digestive distress, which is already more common in our age group. The third dangerous habit, one that shocked even me when I researched it thoroughly, is eating heart-healthy, grain bowls and cereals for dinner. For years, we've been told whole grains are good for us, and they can be at the right time of day and in the right portions. But here's what most doctors won't tell you. After age 70, your circadian rhythm affects your insulin sensitivity dramatically. Your body processes carbohydrates much worse in the evening than it does earlier in the day. When my patient Walter, a 77-year-old with well-controlled diabetes for years, suddenly saw his numbers climbing, we discovered he had replaced his usual dinner with healthy grain bowls, thinking it would help both his heart and his diabetes. Once he shifted those grains to lunchtime and opted for protein and non-starchy vegetables at dinner, his numbers improved within days. The fourth dangerous habit is perhaps the most surprising: eating too little fat. Yes, you heard me correctly. Many seniors afraid of heart disease have cut almost all fat from their diets, but healthy fats are absolutely crucial for blood sugar stability, especially as we age. Without adequate fat in your meals, carbohydrates, even healthy ones like sweet potatoes or beans, will convert to blood sugar much more rapidly. Olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, and even some saturated fats like those in grass-fed butter actually help slow glucose absorption and improve insulin sensitivity. My patient Dorothy, 84, was eating fat-free everything. When we added a tablespoon of olive oil to her meals and a handful of walnuts as a snack, her blood sugar stabilized dramatically, and she found she was much less hungry between meals. The fifth and final dangerous habit, possibly the most insidious, is eating at irregular times. As we age, our internal regulatory systems need more consistency, not less. Many seniors, especially those living alone, fall into erratic eating patterns. Maybe you have a large late breakfast and skip lunch, or perhaps you barely eat all day and then have a large dinner. This irregular pattern throws your already challenged insulin response into chaos. Lena, a 79-year-old widow, came to me with wildly fluctuating blood sugar readings. Her medication wasn't working consistently, and she was frustrated. When we reviewed her eating habits, I discovered she often went 7 to 8 hours without eating during the day, then ate most of her calories between 7 to 10 p.m. when she felt most lonely. Simply restructuring her eating schedule to include smaller regular meals made a tremendous difference in stabilizing her glucose levels. Now that you understand what not to do, let me share my simple 7-day protocol that has helped thousands of my senior patients regain control of their blood sugar without hunger, without expensive special foods, and without strenuous exercise that might be difficult for aging joints. Step 1 is implementing what I call the 70-30 timing method. This means consuming 70% of your daily food intake before 3 p.m. and only 30% after. This works with your body's natural insulin sensitivity cycle, which decreases as the day progresses, a change that becomes more pronounced after age 70. Here's how to do it. Make breakfast substantial, including protein, healthy fat, and a small amount of complex carbohydrates. For example, 2 eggs cooked in olive oil with sautéed spinach and a quarter of an avocado, plus a small portion of steel-cut oatmeal, about 1/3 cup cooked. Lunch should be your largest meal of the day, a palm-sized portion of protein, a generous helping of non-starchy vegetables, and a small serving of starchy vegetables or whole grains if desired. By front-loading your calories this way, you're giving your body fuel when it's best equipped to process it. For dinner, focus on lighter protein and non-starchy vegetables. A simple trick is to use a teacup as your measure for dinner starches, if you have any at all, rather than a full serving. Many of my patients find this difficult at first because we're socially conditioned to make dinner our largest meal. Betty, age 76, struggled with this until she started treating her substantial lunch as the special meal of the day, setting the table nicely and taking time to enjoy it. Within 5 days, her fasting blood sugar had dropped 20 points. Step 2 is implementing the string of pearls eating method. Instead of 3 larger meals, I recommend 5 small pearls of nutrition, spaced about 3 hours apart. Each pearl should contain a combination of protein, fat, and fiber, which together slow the absorption of any carbohydrates and provide sustained energy. For example, your first pearl might be breakfast at 7 a.m. Your second pearl, around 10 a.m., could be a small handful of walnuts and a piece of cheese. The third pearl at 1 p.m. would be lunch. The fourth pearl around 3:30 p.m. might be a few tablespoons of cottage cheese with cucumber slices. And your fifth pearl, a light dinner, would be around 6 p.m. This approach maintains stable blood sugar throughout the day, placing less stress on your aging pancreas and giving your digestive system time to process each small meal completely, something that becomes more important as our digestion naturally slows with age. For those with arthritis in their hands, prepare these small meals in advance. Use small containers that are easy to open. Many of my patients find the wide-mouth 4-ounce mason jars perfect for this purpose. If preparing multiple small meals seems overwhelming, prepare all 5 pearls in the morning when energy is typically highest. Step 3 focuses on what I call protective pairing, always consuming carbohydrates with their protective partners, protein, fat, and fiber. This simple habit dramatically reduces blood sugar spikes. For example, if you enjoy an apple as a snack, add a tablespoon of almond butter. If you have a small potato with dinner, drizzle it with olive oil and eat it alongside a portion of fish or chicken. Even a treat like a few squares of dark chocolate should be paired with a few almonds to buffer the sugar impact. The science behind this is clear. Protein, fat, and fiber slow the rate at which glucose enters your bloodstream. For seniors, whose glucose regulation is already compromised, this pairing strategy can reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes by as much as 30 to 40%. My patient George, age 81, was reluctant to give up his morning toast, a simple pleasure he'd enjoyed his entire life. Instead of eliminating it, we simply paired it with scrambled eggs and avocado. His post-breakfast blood sugar readings improved dramatically, and he didn't have to sacrifice his small daily joy. Step 4 is incorporating what I call glucose disposal walks, a gentle 10-minute walk within 30 minutes after each meal. This doesn't mean power walking or anything strenuous, just a comfortable stroll at whatever pace works for your body. Here's why this works. Even this mild activity directs glucose to your muscles for immediate use, rather than allowing it to linger in your bloodstream. Studies show that for seniors, these short post-meal walks can lower blood sugar by 20 to 30 points, compared to remaining sedentary. For those with mobility issues, seated arm exercises, or even standing and performing gentle movements for 5 to 10 minutes, can provide similar benefits. The key is some form of muscle activation shortly after eating. Helen, an 88-year-old patient with severe arthritis, couldn't walk unassisted. Instead, she would sit in her favorite chair after meals and do gentle arm circles, knee lifts, and ankle rotations for 7-8 minutes. Even this modified approach improved her blood sugar readings considerably. The fifth and final step in my protocol addresses something rarely discussed in diabetes management: stress reduction, specifically designed for seniors. As we age, our bodies produce more stress hormones in response to the same triggers, and these hormones directly raise blood sugar levels. I teach my patients a simple 4-7-8 breathing technique to use before meals. Breathe in for a count of 4, hold for 7, and exhale slowly for 8. Doing this 5 times before eating activates your parasympathetic nervous system, what we call the rest and digest response, which improves insulin sensitivity immediately. Another stress reduction technique specifically beneficial for seniors is gentle hand massage. The hands contain reflexology points connected to the pancreas and digestive organs. Spending just 2 minutes massaging your palms and fingers before meals has been shown to improve digestive function and moderate blood sugar response. These 5 steps, the 70-30 timing method, the string of pearls eating pattern, protective pairing glucose disposal walks, and pre-meal stress reduction, form a complete protocol that addresses the unique challenges of managing diabetes after age 70. Let me share a few stories of how this protocol has transformed lives. There's Robert, age 84, who came to me using 65 units of insulin daily, despite carefully following the standard diabetic diet. His A1C was stubbornly high at 8.2%. After implementing my protocol for just 28 days, he reduced his insulin to 40 units, and 3 months later, his A1C dropped to 6.8%. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. For the first time in years, he told me, I have enough energy to play with my great-grandchildren. Last weekend, I got down on the floor to build blocks with my 4-year-old great-grandson. My daughter cried when she saw us together like that. Then there's Elaine, 79, who lived alone and had basically given up on controlling her diabetes. What's the point? She asked during our first consultation. At my age, does it really matter? Her blood sugars regularly exceeded 200 mmol/dl, and she suffered from chronic fatigue and recurrent urinary tract infections, a common complication of uncontrolled diabetes in older women. Elaine was skeptical but agreed to try my protocol. The string of pearls method particularly helped her, as it gave structure to her days alone and prevented the mindless eating that often accompanied her loneliness. Within 3 weeks, her blood sugars mostly stayed under 140 mmol/dl. The UTI stopped, but most importantly, her energy returned. I've rejoined my church choir, she told me with tears in her eyes during a follow-up visit. I'd quit 2 years ago because I couldn't stand long enough for practice. Now I'm singing again. My voice has come back to me just like my health. And finally, there's couple Frank and Mildred, both in their mid-80s and both diabetic. They'd been married 62 years and faced their health challenges together, but struggled with preparing appropriate meals as cooking became more difficult. Their daughter was increasingly worried about their health and independence. I taught them simplified versions of my protocol, focusing on easy preparation versions of the string of pearls method. Their daughter helped them with weekly meal prep, making small portion-controlled containers they could easily manage. Frank particularly took to the post-meal walks, proudly tracking their daily glucose disposal strolls around their apartment building hallways. 4 months later, both had reduced their medications, but the real victory came when their daughter called me. Mom and Dad just renewed the lease on their apartment for another year, she said. 6 months ago, we were looking at assisted living facilities because we were so worried about them. Now they're thriving on their own again. These stories remind me every day that it's never too late. Your body has an amazing capacity to respond positively to the right approach, no matter your age. I want you to try this protocol for just 7 days, that's all. 1 week, you'll likely notice changes in your blood sugar readings almost immediately, but the other benefits, improved energy, better sleep, less brain fog, reduced joint pain, those might take a few days to become apparent. Remember, these changes work with your aging body's natural rhythms and capabilities, not against them. You're not fighting your nature. You're finally aligning with it. I'm 91 years old. I still work, still travel to see my grandchildren and great-grandchildren, still enjoy my life despite having diabetes for over 30 years. This isn't because I'm special or have better genes than you. It's because I understand how to work with my older body rather than against it. You can experience this same freedom. Your family will notice the difference in you. But more importantly, you will feel the difference in yourself. The disease that may have made you feel powerless can become simply one manageable aspect of your rich continuing life. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. We provide new content specifically for seniors every week. And if you know someone else who might benefit from this approach, perhaps a friend or family member struggling with diabetes, please share this video with them. Thank you for your time today. This is Dr. Harold Winters, wishing you health, joy, and many more beautiful years ahead.